Well, what is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Today, on the table in front of us, we have got, well, a couple of Michael Janich designs. This, of course, is the Spyderco Yojimbo. This is the Yojumbo. I know, clever name, but this is a fantastic knife. Now, I have been a fan of the Yojimbo for a long time. This is one of the more interesting Spyderco designs. It is an excellent EDC, even though Janich designed it for more of a combat role. I'm not a combat guy, although this is really stabby. This Wharncliffe blade, the hollow grind, the way that it is designed, makes it a really just sort of surprisingly excellent EDC knife. Now, I've got an aftermarket clip on mine because I do that with knives that I keep, as you guys know. Surprisingly, even with no belly, this thing is a marvelous box cutter. It is a great, just everyday carry knife. But in my hand, it is verging on too small, and it always has. So last year, when they started talking about Blade Show East, they were talking about the Yojumbo, and I got a look at the prototype. I said, well, that's a knife for me. And then, a long, long time later, here it is. And I wasn't wrong. This is a monster. It is a big, big knife. It maintains that Yojimbo style blade with the long, flat edge, this sort of severe Wharncliffe-esque shape, the hollow grind. It is S30V. It is running on phosphor bronze washers. It is G10, and it is really aggressive G10. I, of course, have put an aftermarket deep carry clip on mine because, again, that's what I do. This is a well, okay. So one of my favorite knives is, of course, the PM2. And as you can see, the Yojumbo is considerably bigger than the PM2. But we'll do the rest of the size measurements in a minute. I just want to throw that out there. If you've got big old hands and you like the traditional Yojimbo, you're going to love this. It is not exactly the same. Now, I guess I was hoping that they were going to scale up this knife while maintaining pretty much exactly the same profile, and in the end they didn't. And some people are not thrilled with that, and we'll get to why in just a second. For me, this is a remarkably usable giant knife. So let's go ahead and put away its little brother here, the Yojimbo, and focus on the big boy. What do you get? Well, let's get that. You know what? There we go. You get one, two, three, just under 4 inches of cutting on 4 inches of S30V steel. From just behind the rise right here, you get 1, 2, 3, 4 3/4 inches of handle. Now, this is where people are running into a little bit of trouble. These sort of choils, for me, as you can see, it's a little tight for my large fingers up here. And then it forces your back fingers into this space, which makes this sort of dead space. You can move back, but then your middle finger lands right on this rise right here. I would have preferred to see this with a flat line. If you can't imitate these very sort of thin choils that allow for a lot of versatility and movement on the handle, going for the larger and yet more locked-in style may not have been the right choice. But for my hands, it is still a very comfortable knife. But I do know that a lot of people are sort of running into trouble here. I just wanted to point it out. The action out of the box is very, very good. Of course, I love Spyderco's compression locks. You can thumb flick it. Of course, can Spidey flick it. And you can, of course, just roll it out as need be. It is ambidextrous in the sense that you can put the clip on top, bottom on both sides. Now, old Spydercos, like the Police, for instance, are all tip-down carry. And that, of course, is so when you pull it out of your pocket, you can just do that and be ready. This wouldn't be a bad knife for that if I could stand carrying a knife tip down. But I can't. So here we are. They have designed it in such a way that the particularly these MXG deep carry clips, do come nicely right to the sort of end of the knife. So in the pocket for me, this big old giant knife basically disappears, which I think is a really nice touch. The overall length of this monster, did I do this already? Well, let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 1/4 inches long. As I said, this is a full-size knife. Now, I've had this for a little while. I actually picked this up from Slicey. I know I'm a little late to the party. Some of the early release guys get them very, very early. I wish that I had, but that's okay. I think this is a ridiculous and excellent addition? Hey now, no Freudian slips, to the Spyderco catalog, because they lack good monster knives. The knife that it reminds me most of for overall carry is the Manix 2XL. These knives, while the XL is a little smaller even than the Yojumbo, these knives cut a very, very similar size in the pocket. This, until I got this, was my biggest Spyderco. I mean, this thing is a monster. This is even bigger. And I am totally okay with that. In the end, I think that's really where we land. If you love the Yojimbo, but always wished it had a slightly burlier size, then they've done that for you. If you don't like this knife, you're not going to like this one. I mean, that's just kind of the way it goes. I do love this. Do I recommend it? Well, absolutely. But then again, I'm a big knife fan. If you like, you know, the Manix 2XL here, but wish that it had a slightly more aggressive shape to it, a little more mean looking, then the Yojumbo is definitely the knife for you. Let's go ahead and weigh it. No, before we do that, let's get actual size comparisons out of the way. You know, it's been a long couple of weeks. In fact, you guys, it's been a long few months. I don't know about you, but I am finally starting to go full-on stir crazy being in my condo all the time. I miss my knife friends. I miss the world. I am looking forward to getting back to that. Anyway, let's do the overall size comparisons. As we already said, it is much, much larger than the PM2 here, which of course means it's going to be way, way bigger than the PM3. Let's get the weight out of the way. We are zeroed out. Now this is 5.3 ounces, which I got to tell you, for a 9-inch knife, it's not bad. With the addition of a deep carry clip on there, this thing, for all of its mass, because of its lean design, it really does disappear in the pocket. And of course, because it's Spidey hole deployment, there is nothing really jabbing the stuff that's in your pocket. You got to have long pockets. This would not fit in women carry knives pocket at all. And that's just something you have to accept. Finally, let's go ahead and do the blade stock and the handle thickness, just because I am curious. The handle, it has no thickest part. It is the same all the way down. Is just under a 1/2 inch. 0.4 of an inch, which is very nice. 0.45, really. So it's coming up on a 1/2 inch. The blade stock is 3.7 millimeters. There we go, 3.7 millimeters. Not the thickest, certainly not the thickest through the handle. It is a remarkably good carry. It is kind of thick at this point. How thick? Well, I think that it is likely from edge to edge here at its thickest point. It is 1.9 inches, just under 2 full inches. And you can see that if I lay it on the table. You know, it's just about 2 inches this way. I mean, it's a big knife. Anyway, this is the Spyderco Yojumbo. This is them doing something kind of crazy and certainly interesting. I hope that if you are into this kind of knife, you get one, because I think you will really love it. I think if you're not into big knives, don't do it, right? Move on to something else. But if you're into something that definitely has an edge to it, just in case you need such a thing, has a marvelous blade for EDC use, particularly if you are cutting a ton of boxes or rope, cordage, straps. If you're cutting stuff, not cutting board style, it is a little harder to use that way because of its design. But if you're out there and you need this thing to cut straps, rope, cardboard, whatever it is, this blade shape lends itself to that so well. I love this thing. I'm super glad to have one, and I think if you're interested, you'll be glad to have one too. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Spyderco Yojumbo. I, of course, have been a Therapeutic Edge. If you have any questions about this or any of my knives, feel free to ask down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.